guys, Marian here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing how I published my first book. So this is my book, Expecting Jewish. It's coming out on March 23rd. It's being published by Ben Yehuda Press. They're in New York. And I want to share with you guys how this came along, how this publishing journey came to be. I've written a ton of notes over here, so I make sure to cover everything. So if you are a new author or would love to publish a book one day, I wanted to walk you through the steps. So let's jump in. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Marian. I make videos about being a mom and being a Jewish mom. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. And if you want to follow along with my everyday life as a Jewish mom, then don't forget to follow me on Instagram. So how did this book come to be? So I had the idea to write this book about the same time as I had the idea to start this YouTube channel. Clearly one was much easier and quicker to do, YouTube. But as I started my YouTube, as I was making videos, I was also writing this book. This has been an absolute passion project for me from day one. From as soon as my older son was born, I just felt in my heart I wanted to get this out. I wanted to get the story out. I wanted to get everything I was feeling out, and I did a ton of research for this book. This is a highly research heavy book, and I just felt this need in me to search all this information and collate it and put it together. So the first thing I did was a lot of research on how to write a book and how that all works, and it is such an overwhelming process. But the number one first thing to do is just to write the darn book. Write the darn thing. You don't have to finish it 100%, but write. See if what you really want is really there before going any further. So that's what I did. I spent every day writing, and this is another kind of big thing that dawned on me. I just mentioned in my favorites video, this book, Atomic Habits. Any habit that you want in your life, like to be healthier, to write a book, any of those grand big plans happen by every day doing one little thing. So my little thing every day was I wrote 500 words. That was my goal. No matter what, I wrote 500 words. Sometimes they were sucky. Sometimes they made no sense and were just total crap. But I wrote every day 500 words. And by the time I was ready to start reaching out to publishers, I had 40,000 words written, and I was immensely proud of that because it takes a daily journey of doing it. I know a lot of people, when they think about writing a book, they think about going into the woods for 3 weeks and just pouring your heart out, but that's not really realistic unless you have months to take off from real life, or you already have a book deal that's paying you to sit and write. The way I did it, I had a full-time job, I was doing my YouTube channel, I had a 1-year-old, I was pregnant, I just spent, it probably was maybe a half an hour every day, sometimes more if I had the time, writing every single day. Okay. So once you have written a lot of your book and you've realized what it is, how it's shaping out, the next thing to do is start approaching people. So here's the cold hard truth, which you can spend hours and hours looking into, or you can just believe me right off the bat. It is nearly impossible to get a book deal if you have not been published before or if you're not already famous. However, there is good news. One is that you can self-publish, and there are so many benefits to that. I almost very nearly self-published. The second thing is that you can niche down and find a publisher or an agent that's really interested in you specifically or what you're writing specifically. So this is primarily for nonfiction books like mine that I'm talking about, because if you are an expert in a topic that people want to read about, and you've become that expert just by writing the book, then you have a reason that a publisher will want to publish from you. It's very hard to just want to tell your life story or talk about a topic that has a million books about it. It's very hard to find a publisher who's going to want to publish that unless you already have a big social media following or are famous for other reasons. There are very few large publishing houses, and it's very hard to get to them. You can't just approach them directly. You need an agent to do that. And getting an agent is a hard process. Okay, I know I'm giving you a lot of like cons and downers right now, but let me get through the tough part and then I'll tell you about how I did it. There are websites, I'll link them below, how to find a literary agent, how to find a publisher. The thing that I did that worked best was I looked at books that were similar to mine and looked who published them and looked who those agents were. And sometimes that took some like fine Googling skills. Sometimes the person would thank their agent in the open or like the foreword. Sometimes it took going to the author's website, seeing who their agent was, seeing who their publisher was. So it took a lot of research, but because I was in the niche of Jewish books and parenting or pregnancy books, I went through all the ones that I could find online, searched the authors, searched their agents, searched their publishers. Next, what I did is I sent my query. That's what it's called. It's a huge document. It's usually an outline of your book, the first few chapters of your book, and a sales kind of pitch at the beginning about why they should publish your book. I sent that document to, I want to say, 100 or more people, to so many people. My aim was for 1,000 rejections. If I got rejected 1,000 times, I would self-publish, which was also totally fine. But that was my idea. I knew I had tried enough if 1,000 people had emailed me back and said no. Usually I don't even get emails back, but if 1,000 people had rejected it, then I would know I tried my hardest. And the truth is, once you've written the query and you've written most of your book, then the email is not that hard to send out many times. However, you do need to be specific. So when you are querying an agent or a publisher, you need to explain to them why you've reached out to them directly, which is the why going through other books to find them is a great idea. So for example, like Mayim Bialik is a huge like hero of mine. I love her to pieces. She had written a lot of things. She had new stuff coming out. I tried to find her agent and I would say to them, hey, I just saw you publish this author's book. It's really similar to something I'm doing. Here's my take on it. I thought you might be interested. So you have to personalize those letters, but you have to get them out. And that is what's so hard, I think, especially for writers, is we are kind of a little bit of an introverted type in general, and it's really hard to sell yourself. But the truth is, the publisher is not going to come knocking at your door, so you have to put it out there and you have to tell them why you're writing the best book ever and why it has to be published. Back to niching down. That is what worked for me. So Ben Yehuda Press is a small independent Jewish publisher that publishes Jewish books. So they happen to be looking for something right in this space, and they happen to be wanting to work with people who had social media followings. At the time when I sent out the query for this, I had 1,000 followers on my YouTube channel and less than that on Instagram, maybe a couple hundred. I thought I had this big following. Like, I was so excited about it, but I definitely didn't. But I was so confident that my following was growing and that my following was so super niche that they'd be interested in the book I was writing. So that's really important too. If you believe in what you're writing and you can create a community online that believes in it too, that's really helpful. You don't have to have thousands and thousands of followers right off the bat. Obviously, it's a full-time job to create a social media following, but if you believe you're sharing something important that people care about, then as you're writing, you're already doing all this research, gathering all this information. If you can share bits of it online at the same time and grow your following, I think that's super helpful. There are also lots of independent like awards and helpful programs for new authors. I didn't go down that route because I ended up finding a publisher that was interested in my book. But those are other options for writers as well. So my number one all-out tip is to just write the thing, because you can always self-publish. There's nothing wrong with self-publishing. You often make more money self-publishing, especially if you've created your own audience online who can purchase from you. You don't need to worry about a publisher doing all the marketing and things like that. But what you need to know if you go down that route is you'll probably need to spend some money hiring an editor, a cover designer, and putting out that money on your own. But there are so many websites like Fiverr, and I'll link some others down below, where you can hire people to do that pretty inexpensively. Another tip I have for writing a nonfiction book is to interview as many people as you can, and that really helps build up the book and build out the credit of the book. So when I queried the book, I was able to say that I had already interviewed all these rabbis and social media influencers and Jewish moms. So it wasn't just me that was, you know, sharing what I thought or what I had researched, but there was a lot of credible, amazing contributors to the book, which I'm really, really proud of. So that was very helpful as well. But yeah, I found someone to believe in it, but I found them because I reached out to so many people so passionately about it. So that is my story. I think in the end, I got very, very lucky that I had niche down. That wasn't my intention. That was just the love I had of the story I wanted to tell happened to be a niche story. And I was lucky to find a publisher who wanted to tell that story. And I hope that you guys will be interested in reading that story because I'm so proud of it. For anyone who's thinking about Judaism, guys, my memory card died just as I was ending that, but it's a sign that I need to just say goodbye. Also, sleeping dog if you heard him snoring throughout this whole video. But what I was saying was I hope that you guys will love reading this book. If you're interested in anything about Judaism, pregnancy, infertility, the 9 months of pregnancy, Judaism and parenting, you will find all of that and more in the book. So thank you guys so much for listening to my story about getting published. If you're an author at the beginning of this journey, I wish you all the best of luck and motivation in the world. Let me know how it's going. Let me know any questions you have. And thank you so much for watching this video and hanging out with me and my pup today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!